All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. It's Wednesday, Wanderlust Wednesday. Finally, a new episode here in the cave. As I said earlier, crazy schedule here. And you just don't know. You don't want new episodes. I don't even know what to say, but probably the next couple of days. I got federal jury duty coming up tomorrow also. So I don't know what that's going to do to my schedule. But anyway, we got so much going on here. But I'm looking forward to a more regular schedule probably in the middle of September. But we're doing the best we can to get your new episodes, because I know you guys are pining away after 810 episodes or so. You're like, Mark, we need more. We need more music. James T. Kirk, more music. But I'm excited for today. So Wanderlust Wednesday, I always love a good Wanderlust Wednesday. Some of you will be excited about this, and some of you will be like, I don't know what you're talking about. But we are talking about really one of the most important bands in history, in American history, for American alternative underground music. And it's the band The Replacements, not the Placemats, although the fans call themselves the Mats, right? The Replacements. Super important band, and you just don't hear enough about, or you don't hear enough of their music, I feel, unless you're a fan already. Minneapolis band formed in 1979, famously with Paul Westerberg, who we'll get around to. But Paul Westerberg, vocals and guitar. He wasn't always on vocals in the beginning. They had someone else come in, but he really wanted to be the vocalist, so he kind of whispered in that cat's ear and said, "The band doesn't want you here in the band." And suddenly he was gone. But they had these guys they had brothers in this band, Tommy and Bob, Chris Mars, the drummer, and anyway, there was just a lot going on with this band. But they were called Dog Breath at one point. Paul Westerberg was a janitor. This band came together, and they really were just playing music. When Paul Westerberg started working with them, these guys were just drinking a lot, getting wasted, and then would just fool around on instruments. And he would show up more dressed and ready and rehearsed and wanting to write songs and play. So they were fooling around, doing their thing. Someone heard one of their songs. Of course, back in those days, people had record stores also happened to have a label, and they signed to this label, an independent label, and they put out their first few cassettes, and the rest is kind of history in that regard. Someone finally picked up on them, and they started putting out some more important releases. They got better and better as they would go along, but still, their live antics, we'll talk about that in a second. But most importantly, they put out this record, Hootenanny, in 1983, April of 83. And this one got attention. The Village Voice got a hold of this one and was like, this is one of the most important records, independent releases of the year. And suddenly 200 radio stations were playing it, and they were getting ready to go out on tour of the U.S., New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. They did CBGB in June of 83. But all these things were a nightmare. I mean, they started off as a punk band. First of all, they were like Ramones, Stooges kind of music. And then they started evolving into this more alternative band. But they would just get wasted all the time for their live shows. And they didn't care. Like, I was on purpose. They'd be like, we want to piss people off. And they tried that CBGB concert, which they were like the fifth band on the list. They should have gone on real late. One of them almost didn't even make it in the door because they were turned away. And they were just drunk and bad. And this is what just happened a lot. They were just loud and annoying, and people would just leave. And they didn't care. They were like, we'd rather play in front of 50 people that know us versus 1,000 people or 3,000 people that don't care. So when they were opening up for REM in like 83 for 8 dates, they were still they were opening up for REM in 83, and they were still sabotaging everything they did. The major labels they wanted to pick up on them, but boy, they were tough. They just wanted to blow up their whole career. But they would just plug along, and they became one of the most important bands musically, especially like REM and the Pixies are mentioned because of what they were doing, and they got better and better, and it's strictly because a lot of it because of Paul Westerberg, because he was such a good songwriter, one of the best songwriters of the 80s, they say. And it was a really big deal. And he had this voice, this like gravelly voice that was just so good. And their music, again, just got better and better and went from punk to alternative. And it was just so good. They put out Hootenanny. There was their second one. And we'll get to the music in just a second. And then they put out Let It Be in 1984 when that started getting the attraction from the major labels. And they got on SNL at the last minute. The Pointer Sisters had to cancel, and they got them on because I think someone was a fan of their music and got them on. And of course they were drunk and it was terrible, and they got banned for life to be on Saturday Night Live, although Paul Westerberg would be on as a solo artist later. They ended up putting out 7 albums between 81 and 90, and so they ended up doing a lot of great work, but these 2 records are the most important ones. And they would just, again, every time they would just go out live drunk, terrible, do cover songs, not even their own songs, half-finished cover songs. It was a lot. But their songs, what about their songs, Mark? You're at 7 minutes. Customer, Left of the Dial, Skyway, Aching to Be, Unsatisfied, Color Me Impaired, Alex Chilton, Bastards of the Young, Unsatisfied, Can't Hardly Wait. Now we're talking. That's one of my favorites right there. That's a good one. So good. I Will Dare. Peter Buck is on I Will Dare from REM. That one's awesome too. And then the first replacement song I ever knew was Within Your Reach from the Say Anything soundtrack. Anyone remember that song? This song is so good. Why don't you ever hear this on any kind of radio station? Within Your Reach was on Hootenanny. And this song is so good. I was obsessed with it. I was so obsessed with this song when Say Anything came out. I would just play it. We're dropping those below. You're going to give those a listen. But there's some really great stuff on here. Paul Westerberg, like I said, legendary. He was legendary. So when he came and did his solo stuff, his first solo stuff was on the single soundtrack. He did 2 songs on there, Dyslexic Heart and one other one I can't remember. But it was a big deal for all those fans of that music to be like, Paul Westerberg is making music. And those were some great songs on the single soundtrack. So you're listening to The Replacements today. Anyone know this band? I know some of you do. If you don't, you're listening to them today. Check out all those songs I just mentioned. There's some real good stuff in there. Wanderlust Wednesday here in the cave. Enjoy some of The Replacements. As usual, I'll catch you on the flip side.